Good afternoon. I just want to first start off by letting you know a little bit of background about this presentation. This presentation was given to the sport management class at Brigham Young University last week. It is designed to kind of build upon a law class that the majority of the students took prior to enrolling in the sport management class. The law class they took had to do with recreational law, and so some of the concepts overlap. Anyway, I recorded the class, and unfortunately, something happened to the recording, and I was unable to upload it. So I'm just going to go through the slides. Understand that some of the questions that were asked had significant discussion. The class actually, the lesson went on for about 35 minutes. So anyway, here we go. So I first started off by playing a little game. Part of the game was I would show a picture, and I asked the class what part of law that this would have to deal with. So in this picture of Colin Kaepernick, several of the students suggested that this had to do with constitutional law, this had to do with freedom of speech, civil rights issues. And then I went on to ask about constitutional law and how taking a knee impacts constitutional law, and if Kaepernick was, okay doing this. And it was really neat to hear what a lot of the students had to say. It was quite the debate, as some felt that it was within his constitutional rights to take a knee. So what is constitutional law? Constitutional law limits government power, and it protects individual rights. It protects individual rights when it comes to freedom of speech, expression, protest. It defines that state actors, those receiving any sort of federal or state funds, or if a private entity is affiliated with a local government, then they are subject to upholding those constitutional laws. But a constitutional claim cannot be made against a private person or entity. So in this case, the NFL would be is a private entity. And so in asking the students if it's okay that Colin Kaepernick was released from his contract, several of the students felt that it shouldn't have been allowed. And the fact is the Constitution not only protects citizens from government, but also protects private organizations from government. And the NFL felt that Colin Kaepernick was hurting, the organization, and they also felt that was a violation of his contract. I told the class that we would not be talking a whole lot about constitutional law, which is true, but because this was an intro class, I had to discuss it. Then I showed this picture. This has been a hot topic of discussion, especially last week. I asked the question of what type of law this has to deal with. It was funny because the response I received was that it was breaking no law, that there's nothing wrong with this situation. And then I went on to talk about faulty equipment and how this could play into negligence. And the moment I used that word, the students quickly remembered what negligence was. So what is negligence in sports? Well, negligence is when a duty is breached, and that leads to personal harm or damages. So the majority of the class tonight is focused on negligence in sports. So we're going to start off with a story. I in this class had a student read the story, which I felt gave a whole lot more power to the story. But for this purpose, I'll read it. It says on September 18th, 2009, during a high school football game, Drew Swank suffered a head injury, which left him removed from competition for the remainder of the game. 3 days after the injury, his primary care physician, Dr. Timothy Burns, examined him. Burns instructed Drew and his mother not to participate for 3 days, and if the headaches continued after returning to football, he would need to sit out another week. 2 days later, Drew insisted that his headaches were gone. Drew's mother reached out to Dr. Burns to receive a medical release that would allow Drew to play in a football game set for the following day. As the game progressed, his performance quickly declined. He appeared sluggish, confused, and slow to respond. His parents, teammates, and coaches recognized his poor play. At one point, his coaches called him over to the sidelines to grab and jerk his face mask around while berating him for his poor performance. Drew returned to the game and, after receiving another blow to the head, staggered to the sideline before collapsing. 2 days later, Drew died. So this, after I had a student read it, left a pretty, somber feeling in the room, which is exactly what I wanted to get across. This situation is not a pair of faulty shoes, not to downplay that, injury by any means, but it's not a pair of faulty shoes, and it's not taking a knee during the national anthem. This is a situation where a 16-year-old boy lost his life playing a game of football. So why is this important? Why is this important for you? Why is this important for anyone that's interested in athletics? And I, again, had the kids trying to, make sure that students stayed engaged. I asked the students to stand up if any of these applied to them. And so I read off the list: coaches, and the handful would stand up; administrators, agents, managers, doctors, athletic trainers. Finally, for the students that were still sitting in their seat, not standing, I said, how many of you are going to be parents? The reality is this: in the research that's been conducted on concussions, parents play an integral role in providing education, support, and influencing their child when it comes to concussion management and response. So the Lystedt Law, I reviewed that a little bit with the class, but the Lystedt Law was put in place the year before Drew Swank died. And so the framework was already there. In the Lystedt Law, it addressed issues where if a player had any signs, symptoms of a concussion, they were immediately removed from the game, and they were not allowed back in the game until evaluated by a physician, which Drew was. Check. Then another part of the Lystedt Law is parents need to be educated, and they needed to sign a permission slip, which happened. Check. So those issues with the Lystedt Law, they were already in place. And the fact is Drew still, fell through the cracks and died. So what do parents have to do with this? Well, parents, as far as I have seen, have not been held legally responsible, nor would that hold up in court. But parents are responsible for the health and safety of their well-being. That being said, what can sport management practitioners do to assist parents in meeting this role? Well, they can help educate, and they could put in, the framework of education and support systems at home. Parents are the best equipped to protect their child because they're with them every day, and they know the signs and symptoms, or they know, the normal behavior of their son, and they're able to recognize when their son's not acting normal. Another thing about a parent's influence is studies have shown that parental attitude about athletic achievement has a direct effect on concussion reporting. That athletes that feel like their parents would be let down if they remove themselves from play don't report injury. And it was interesting because in a study done in Florida, they studied a school district that sent home flyers, and in the flyers instructed parents that they needed to share with their child signs and symptoms of concussion, go over concussion management, and then sign the release form. The athlete would then sign the release form, and the release form would be handed back to coaches. Well, 46% of parents lied about discussing concussion care with their athlete. They signed the form and returned it to their athlete without discussing the very important issues in regards to concussion management. So parents need to take this more seriously, and it's up to stakeholders to really educate. And the more stakeholders educate, the more protected they're going to be from legal repercussion. Every state, differs a little bit in concussion management, but all 50 states have one thing in common, and that's educating parents. What is also interesting about the duty of parents is that parents have become a hindrance a little bit to concussion care. Studies have shown that parents are the ones that encourage their athlete to return to play prematurely. In one situation, parents actually sued the school district so their son can get around the framework of concussion, policies and procedures of the school district and return to play just in time for the homecoming game. So this is an example about how parents need to get on the same page, but it's up to stakeholders, coaches, athletic trainers, school administrators to work with parents so we can get all on the same page. Okay, so what's your duty? Well, this is what as I discuss this with these students, I help them understand that there's a very strong possibility that everyone that goes into sport management or just throughout their life is going to have times where legal issues impact them. We're responsible for the accountability and we're accountable to the health and well-being of our athletes. And then also we have responsibility to create a risk management plan so we're able to appropriately provide the medical treatment for athletes. We're able to provide that formal education for athletes and coaches. We have waivers or permission slips that protect from legal recourse and that we're able to respond timely. This picture is actually a picture of me when I was coaching a high school football game my first year, and I'm with one of my players. And I shared the story with the class that this player of mine, he actually was our star running back, and he got hit pretty hard. And, it was very evident when he got up off the ground that he suffered a concussion. And he actually started walking to the other sideline, and teammate kind of helped him figure out which side, our team was on. And as he was making his way back, I was, on the headset and heard from the other coaches, about how everyone witnessed the same event. And so I instructed his position coach to, make sure he saw, visited with the athletic trainer. And we were aware that that was probably the last down he would play that evening. And I wouldn't be surprised if he would be held out for, a week. And next thing you know, I see him back out on the field. And I was shocked that the athletic trainer would clear him. And the player played the remainder of the game. A little bit woozy, but, he finished the game out. And at the end of the game, I went to the athletic trainer and said, "Man, I can't believe you cleared that player." And she looked at me and said, "What are you talking about?" And I realized then that he hadn't reported his injury to the athletic trainer, that there was that dropped, ball. And it's just, you don't know when this is going to affect you, but every person going into coaching, into administrating, into sport management needs to be aware of the dangers of concussion injury, and they need to act appropriately.